Ladies and gentlemen, once upon a time in a kingdom ruled by a thoughtful king, a profound desire was born. The king, yearning to master the art of success, found himself pondering three enigmas. When is the right time for every action? Who are the right people to listen to? And what are the most important tasks to focus on? In his quest to decipher these riddles, he summoned the learned minds of his kingdom. But as it often happens, wisdom is a prism refracting a multitude of perspectives. Some suggested the king follow a meticulous schedule, while others preached the importance of staying attuned to the present moment. Some advised forming councils of wise men, while others touted the benefits of consulting magicians. The king found himself in a whirlpool of advice, each contradicting the other, leaving him more perplexed than when he began. The king's heart yearned for clarity, a single beacon of wisdom to guide him through the fog of uncertainty. Then, like a bolt of lightning on a stormy night, an idea dawned upon him. He would seek the counsel of a hermit, a man known to possess profound wisdom. But there was a catch. The hermit lived a simple life in the woods, away from the pomp and grandeur of the court, and was known to entertain only the common folk. But when has a true king ever been deterred by obstacles? In plain attire, shedding the trappings of his royal status, the king set off to meet the hermit. He carried with him 3 burning questions, each echoing his desire to unravel the mysteries of success. The journey was not easy. The path was strewn with thorns of doubt and the shadows of uncertainty loomed large. But the king walked on, his resolve stronger than the mightiest mountain, his spirit brighter than the morning sun. So, determined to seek clarity, the king, in plain attire, journeyed to meet the hermit. In the solitude of the woods, the king found the simple dwelling of the hermit. The hermit's humble abode stood as a stark contrast to the king's grand palace, yet there was a profound sense of tranquility that enveloped the place. And there, amidst the quiet rustling of the leaves, the king approached the hermit, his heart ablaze with curiosity and anticipation. The king, yearning for answers, posed his questions to the hermit. But the hermit, known for his wisdom, chose to remain silent. Instead, he continued with his task at hand, digging. His actions were simple, yet purposeful. His silence, though seemingly dismissive, was laced with an intriguing sense of calm. As the hermit continued his work, the king decided to join him. Trading his kingly scepter for a humble spade, the king assisted the hermit. He dug into the earth, his hands, once used to wielding power, now moving rhythmically with the spade, matching the hermit's steady pace. Yet the hermit's silence remained unbroken, leaving the king's questions unanswered. With each passing hour, the king's impatience grew. He had ventured into the woods seeking wisdom, yet all he encountered was silence. His mind, accustomed to immediate answers, began to waver in the face of the hermit's quiet demeanor. The king's desire for knowledge was being tested, his patience stretched thin like a bowstring ready to snap. Yet, despite his growing impatience, the king persisted. He continued digging, his actions mirroring the hermit's silent dedication. His once clean hands were now smeared with dirt, his royal robes stained by the earth. But the king didn't mind. There was a strange sense of fulfillment in this shared labor, a bond forged not through words but through shared effort. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the ground, the king, tired but persistent, sought answers to his questions. His heart was heavy with anticipation, his mind swirling with thoughts. Would the hermit finally break his silence? Would he share his wisdom with the king? The answer lay in the fading light of the day, in the silence of the hermit, and in the king's unwavering determination to seek knowledge. But before the hermit could respond, a dramatic turn of events unfolded. A wounded man staggered out from the secrecy of the woods. His face was a ghostly white, and his eyes were desperate. To the king's surprise, he recognized the man as an old enemy, someone who had once sought revenge on his kingdom. Now here was the enemy, vulnerable, on the brink of death in the king's hands. It was a moment that could have been a sweet victory for the king, but instead he felt a surge of compassion. The king, who had come seeking wisdom, now found himself acting as a healer. With gentleness and care, he tended to his enemy's wounds, his hands steady, his heart full of unexpected kindness. As the king worked, the wounded man's eyes softened. The pain was easing, replaced by a strange warmth. The man who had once sought to harm the king now looked at him with gratitude. His heart, filled with hatred and revenge, was transforming. By the time the king had finished, the enemy was no longer an enemy. He was a man, humbled by the kindness shown to him, his heart filled with gratitude and remorse. The man who had once sought to harm the king now pledged his loyalty. In the quiet of the night, the king slept, his heart lighter, his enemy turned ally resting nearby. The king had come seeking wisdom, but he had found something more: compassion and forgiveness. He had learned to look beyond past enmities, to heal rather than harm, to forgive rather than seek revenge. As dawn broke, the king awoke to find his former enemy humbly seeking forgiveness. The king, with a heart full of forgiveness, promised to restore the enemy's property and even offered medical care. The enemy, once filled with hatred, now looked at the king with gratitude and respect. The king had not just healed his wounds, but also his heart. The king's quest for wisdom had taken an unexpected turn, but it had brought him closer to understanding the art of success. Little did he know that the hermit's wisdom was soon to be revealed. As the king prepared to depart, he sought one final time the hermit's wisdom. The king, filled with anticipation, looked at the hermit, his eyes echoing his questions. The hermit, his hands stained with soil from sowing seeds, finally broke his silence. His voice, soft yet firm, echoed through the quiet woods. "The most important time is now, dear king." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to sink in. "The present moment is the only moment we truly own. It is in the now that we have the power to act, to change, to make a difference." A slight breeze rustled the leaves as the king absorbed this wisdom. The hermit continued, "The most necessary person is the one with whom you are at this moment." His words floated in the air, a profound truth hanging between them. We never know when our paths will cross with others. Each encounter is a chance for us to learn, to grow, to contribute. The king, moved by the wisdom, listened intently as the hermit delivered his final insight. "The most crucial task," the hermit said, a gentle smile playing on his lips, "is to do good to others, for that, my dear king, is the purpose of life." His words, simple yet profound, filled the air with a sense of clarity. The king, his mind buzzing with newfound understanding, looked at the hermit with deep respect. The hermit, his wisdom shared, returned to his humble task of sowing seeds, leaving the king to ponder on his words. In the silence of the woods, the king realized the truth in the hermit's wisdom. The present moment held the power to change. The person he was with held the opportunity for growth, and doing good was indeed the purpose of life. The king, his heart filled with gratitude, thanked the hermit for his wise counsel. As he turned to leave, he carried with him the hermit's wisdom, a treasure greater than any riches. His quest had led him to understand that the most crucial task is to do good to others, for that is the purpose of life. With a heart full of wisdom, the king embarked on his journey back to the kingdom. His stride was different, his gaze no longer burdened with questions. The king had transformed, not with a magical potion, but with the profound wisdom of a humble hermit. As he returned to his kingdom, the king's actions began to reflect his newfound understanding of success. No longer did he seek the counsel of many, but rather he focused on the present moment, the person before him, and the task at hand. His decisions were no longer clouded by confusion, but were guided by the clarity of the three truths. The king was now known not only for his thoughtfulness, but also for his wisdom. His kingdom flourished under his rule, reflecting the transformation of its leader. The king's subjects were no longer mere followers but partners in creating a kingdom grounded in the present, attentive to each individual, and focused on doing good. But what about us? What can we glean from this king's transformation? The tale may be old, but its wisdom is timeless. Like the king, we too are on a journey, filled with questions, seeking success. We too are surrounded by a cacophony of advice, leaving us perplexed. And we too have the choice to seek wisdom, to transform. The hermit's wisdom is not a secret formula hidden away in ancient scriptures. It's a simple truth we often overlook. The most important time is now, the most necessary person is the one before us, and the most important task is to do good. This is the essence of success, the foundation of a fulfilling life. So let's take a moment, shall we? Let's breathe in the present, value the person with us, and strive to do good. For in doing so, we too can transform, not into kings or queens, but into wiser, more compassionate versions of ourselves. As we navigate our own journeys, let us remember the lessons from this king's quest for wisdom and the hermit's simple yet profound truths. Thank you.